So if you know how to do a decent bridge, one of the easiest freezes to learn out of that bridge is the invert. And with the help of one of my students, BBoy Petito, I'll be teaching you guys the invert. So here we go. Now for invert, you don't only need shoulder flexibility, you also need decent hip flexibility to help you execute more shapes and more forms within your invert freeze.
So make sure you don't skip that stretching.
So yeah, to get started with that invert, you want to start performing a handstand against the wall. Now to give you more access to more shoulder flexibility, you should make sure the hands point inwards towards each other, twisting the hands to the inside. This is one of the valuable tips that I share with you guys in episode 1, where I teach you guys how to do a decent bridge and a whole bunch of bridge variations. And I strongly recommend you guys to check out this video if you really want to take this invert seriously, because it's all part of the same series and all the videos are basically linked together. Also, when performing your handstand against the wall, make sure you're not too close to the wall and equally not too far away from the wall. Preferably, I'd recommend you guys to place your hands approximately 20 centimeters away from the wall. Now, after performing this handstand with the hands rotated to the inside, you then want to do two things. Number one is tuck your head in and look at your belly. And the second thing you want to do is place thy behind against the wall. Now, if this is too hard for you, that means you need more bridge. So again, reminding you to check out my video on bridge. But if this works for you and you're able to do this, then let's move on to the next step, which is basically tucking those knees in and try to get your knees as close as possible towards your chest. Applying these steps will give you access to the easiest invert position there is. Now, once this ball-shaped invert works for you against the wall, you can then start pushing the limits and then playing around with different forms. One of the most common forms is doing an invert with the legs stretched and tucking in your nose in between your knees. Now again, if you're not very flexible or you don't stretch often, then you're gonna have a hard time executing this one. So another reminder for you guys to stretch out seriously, unless this B-boy and B-girl game is a joke to you. Your choice. And then another very common form is having one leg stretched and then the other one performing a figure 4, basically placing your ankle on top of that knee and giving you this cool looking shape for your invert. So I strongly recommend you guys to learn and practice your invert against the wall, right? But if you manage to execute all the previous steps against the wall, let's step away from the wall. So start from standing and then perform your invert and then kind of flip over as you would do with a front handspring. And it doesn't matter at this point if the invert is very deep or if you hold it very long. The most important thing is that you feel comfortable while flipping over. But the good part is if you practice the invert with the knees close to your chest, you're in that perfect position for you to get that bounce or that pump to make you jump or hop out of that invert, performing that front handspring, kind of popping out of that freeze for you to land on your feet. And when popping out to a front handspring from an invert, this is the best way to help you open up the shoulders and really play around and get comfortable with the depth of your invert. After a few practice sessions or a few tries, depending on your natural abilities, you can then try and apply the other shapes and forms, and maybe or preferably trying to find your own shapes and forms, because they're pretty limitless in this B-boy and B-girl game. You just have to find them first. Then when you get all comfortable and you start to really trust your invert, then comes the fun part, which is basically finding different ways to get into your invert. Because I clearly say in many different videos, the way you get into your freeze is the way to truly raise the value of what you're doing. In the next episodes, I'll be showing you guys how to do hollowbacks and head hollowbacks, so definitely check out those videos that you can find on my YouTube channel. And if you're looking for more in-depth and secret knowledge that I've learned after 20 years of coaching, then don't hesitate to check out my website. Because at the end of the day, when you think about it, it's just all about that B-boy shit. Peace.